This entire military is one cohesive, dedicated force. And the threats to our nations, they don't sleep. They're watching our every move. Iran, Russia, China, North Korea, ISIS, Al-Qaeda. They may be watching this right now. Our military should not be mistaken for a cable news gab-fed show. We don't care what you look like. We don't care who you voted for, who you worship, what you worship, who you love. It doesn't matter if your dad left you millions when he died or if you knew who your father was. We have been honed into a machine of lethal moving parts that you would be wise to avoid if you know what's good for you. We will not be intimidated. We will not back down. We don't want war. But if you want war with the United States of America, there's one thing I can promise you, so help me God. Someone else will raise your sons and daughters.
Opinions
Introducing LT Defense Tactical Gear, your ultimate solution for top-notch protection and performance in the field. Our armor bundles provide unmatched safety and comfort, while our battle belts and holsters ensure quick and easy access to your gear. Stay prepared for any situation with our high-quality medical supplies, designed to keep you ready for action at all times. Looking to enhance your skills? Our firearms training programs will take your proficiency to the next level. Trust LT Defense for all your tactical gear needs and gear up for success on the battlefield.
Military Broadcast Radio, the station that's giving veterans a voice.
Find us on the web at mbradio.us.
Opinions expressed in this program are those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of any entities they represent.
Find us on the web at mbradio.us.
All right, welcome. Hello, everyone. This is Money in the Military. This is on Military Broadcast Radio. For those of you who are maybe new to this platform, we're a nonprofit based out of Denver. We help veterans create podcasts, and I was one of the people that they helped me create this podcast. So shout out to Joel and the guys and gals at MBR. And today we're going to go ahead and jump right in. We have a special guest, finance professional, Dan Farnsworth. We're going to go ahead and bring him into the stage. Dan, how's it going?
Hey, how you doing, Joey? Thanks for having me on. Really appreciate it, brother.
Yeah, of course. So, our time is limited, so I want to jump right in and kind of get the ball rolling. Obviously this is Money in the Military, and I'm curious. Let's hear a little bit about your military background, and if you could give us a little bit of highlight of maybe some of your military career highlights, and then how did you eventually get into finance?
Absolutely. Well, I'm sure it's no mystery to the audience here, based on my background, that I was a Navy guy. I enlisted in 2002, and I just recently retired not too long ago. Did almost 23 years active duty. I made chief. I was actually a cryptologic guy for the majority of, in fact, all of my career. And then I commissioned as a limited duty officer in 2014. So retired as a lieutenant here just recently. And did a whole host of tours, from everything from ship tours to overseas to I did a boots on ground tour in Baghdad for a year. So kind of ran the gamut of, the different types of opportunities that we had available to us, and really had a lot of fun doing it. So kind of what got me into finance, incidentally, about 15 years ago, I was actually approached by a financial firm that was based out of Salt Lake City at the time, and they're still around. It's Prosperity Economics. They had reached out to me because I was interested in learning more about the infinite banking concept. There was an agency called Bank on Yourself that had sort of rejuvenated a concept that was engineered and sort of made popular by a former insurance broker named Nelson Nash, who wrote the Infinite Banking Concept book. And basically what it focused on was using whole life insurance and permanent life insurance products to be able to minimize the death benefits and maximize living benefits for building generational wealth. And I was fortunate enough to kind of get in on this early on and to really, see it in action, really see it work. I was able to get set up with a whole life policy. I was able to overfund that in a way that enabled me to grow my cash values in the policy. I was able to transfer debt into the policy, and I really saw a lot of the financial benefits of using life insurance products to be able to ultimately plan out a retirement and grow our wealth. So as I kind of came nearer toward retirement, I was, looking for ways to kind of, obviously one, transition from the military and be successful. But right. Two, kind of leverage my experience and things that I would be interested in doing and helping other people learn. And I almost kind of, by accident sort of ended up in the industry. I was sort of recruited into the industry, but once I got into it and I realized, the potential and the capabilities and, how we can really teach other people how to leverage these processes and these strategies that most people frankly don't even know about. It really was a driving force for me to be able to grow my own agency now with Victory X Financial and really focus on helping veterans, because I feel like veterans, could benefit really in some ways the most from, these types of strategies and these types of products.
Wow, that's amazing. It's funny, actually, just recently, and I mean, I'd say within the last couple of weeks, stumbled upon infinite banking as a concept. So I'm just kind of scratching the surface of it, but without giving away the goose, but like, could you give a little bit of a background on maybe what infinite banking is, just for everyone else and for myself included?
Sure. Yeah, no problem. Yeah, so infinite banking is just a process where we use permanent life insurance products. Depending on what we're doing, we can use whole life, or we can use indexed universal life in certain applications. But basically, we structure these policies in a way that we minimize the actual death benefit, right? So all of these policies are sort of regulated under IRS code 7702, which is what allows us to grow money tax-free in these policies. And so what Nelson Nash and even other entrepreneurs before him, but what they had sort of come up with and realized is that we can actually use these products to grow cash values independent of the insurance itself. And what is the advantage of that? Well, there are a number of advantages. One, we get the safety of being able to grow our money without the money actually being in the stock market, right? We've seen a number of folks that have had, unfortunately, in the last several years, the last 20 years, in fact, when the stock market crashed in 2008, and then when we had the COVID, cycle that we saw 30-40% dips in the market, unfortunately, a lot of people lost a lot of money during that time.
Yeah.
That had money in life insurance policies literally lost zero money, right? They lost zero money because we have what we call the power of zero, right? You can never go below zero in an index strategy. If we're using indexed universal life, or if we're using whole life with a mutually owned company, you're never going to get net less than zero in a life insurance policy. So you have the safety of it, right? The index growth has been very, very impressive. When we do these illustrations, we can only by law illustrate at about a 6.5% growth rate, because it's tied to some of the larger indexes if we're using Index Universal Life or IUL. But we know that the indexes have historically, over the last 20 years, performed at much higher levels. Some of them as high as 20%. So the growth in the policies is extremely aggressive without, again, incurring the risks of going into high risk investment vehicles. And then the probably the largest benefit, and the one that I see as being sort of like this is the cornerstone of what I do, is that all of the money that we grow in the cash values of these policies is one, completely liquid, right? So we can access that money anytime we want. There are no restrictions on having to wait until you're 59 and a half. There's no minimum distribution periods, no required minimum distributions. So you can access that money whenever you want and for whatever reason that you want. And when you access it, you're actually accessing it in the form of a tax-free loan against your death benefit. So you're essentially borrowing against your future dead self is what it really boils down to. And by doing that, we leave all of the principal in the policy. So the principal just continues to compound and compound and compound. And in many cases, when we see folks that max fund these properly structured and properly engineered policies in retirement, they could easily be drawing 6 figures of tax-free income for the rest of their lives, right? Every single year, tax-free. And even if they spend every single dime of every dollar that they draw tax-free from the policy, when they die, it's still going to confer a tax-free death benefit to their beneficiaries. And oftentimes that can be in the hundreds of thousands, if not the millions by then.
Wow. Wow, that's a lot to process. But I mean, it's really fascinating stuff to me. It's like my mind is just processing everything right now. But yeah. So I guess with that being said, like, what is if you were to talk to, let's say you're talking to an E5 right now that's in active duty, what are some kind of good tactical tips and tricks that you would give them, like financially, if they're, let's say, 8 or 10 years in, E5, E6, what are some advice? What's some advice that you would give them?
Absolutely. No. And at that age, and at that stage in life, those are the type of clients that I personally love working with and love connecting with and introducing to this concept and these type of strategies, because especially when we're dealing with insurance products, there's two major advantages that folks that maybe in their late 20s or early 30s are going to have, even over the rest of us that are a little bit older, right? And that is, one, the insurance component is extremely cheap, right? So it's very cheap to insure somebody that's in their 20s and 30s, because the reality is they're just not very likely to die, anytime soon. So it minimizes even more the cost of the insurance itself to be able to grow your cash values. And then the second biggest benefit is that they also have time, right? And with time, you have the power to be able to compound your interest even more over the length of your life, so that when you do go to draw out your money in retirement, whether that's to supplement a pension, let's say, or, supplement other income, maybe you have income from, real estate, or you own a business or something to that effect. It's just going to give you that much more money in retirement, to be able to, to leverage for whatever you want. And it's also going to subsequently allow you to grow your death benefits, that much more as well, because the death benefit will grow in relation to the cash values as well. So by the time these guys are, ready to, graduate and move on to heaven, we're literally creating generational wealth to the tune of millions of dollars in many cases. And we've seen that. We've worked with clients that will literally confer $3 or $4 million to their families when they someday die, and we have strategies for being able to ensure, their children later on, so that their children can use these same strategies and they can just continue to roll the money in and just keep it tax-free and just keep it growing.
Wow, man, I've got so many follow-up questions, but we actually are at a point where we have a little bit of a break. We're going to do a commercial break, play a little bit of music. So I've been stuck on Noah Peterson. He's a United States Marine veteran, plays kind of like a funky jazz, modern jazz music, but I always play his music. And so yeah, we'll play a song of his, and then we'll come back after the break.
Sounds good.
opinions expressed in this program are those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of any entities they represent.
Find us on the web at mbradio.us.
All right, we are back. This is Money in the Military on Military Broadcast Radio, where we're giving veterans a voice. And the voice, the veteran that I'm giving a voice to is Dan Farnsworth from Victory X Financial. We've been talking to him. He's a finance professional. And where are you based out of?
I'm out of Hampton Roads, Virginia.
Okay, Hampton Roads, Virginia. All right. So, out of curiosity, if someone wanted to book your services, do they have to live in Virginia, or are you able to go to do like remote online stuff?
Yeah, no, absolutely. We're licensed in a number of different states, pretty much all of the surrounding states here along the East Coast, and then also several states out west as well. Yeah, if they want to book an appointment, my calendar is available at victoryxfinancial.com and also at my business Facebook page at Victory-X Financial. So,
yeah, I actually wanted to pull it up real quick because I really, as a budding entrepreneur myself, I'm very impressed. Obviously, your website is really cool and slick.
thank you.
But yeah, so it's a really, really very professional website. Tax-free income for patriots. Let's see, is it showing up? Okay, yeah. So yeah, like I just wanted to show it off. I just think it's a cool website. Veteran and first responder focused. So yeah, you've talked a little bit about these things, but I just wanted to highlight the victoryxfinancial.com to book Dan for his services. Okay. Cool. All right. So entrepreneurship, I was curious if you were to maybe give some aspiring, future veterans or even current veterans some advice on entrepreneurship. What kind of advice would you give?
Well, first and foremost, I would say if you have it in you, go for it. If there's anything that that I think that we need more of in this country, it's veterans and private business. I love personally seeing veterans go into private business because I think that we have a work ethic that is really unmatched. And I think that we, in our skill sets, in our esprit de corps, in our general love for country and for family, we really do have a lot to offer the private economy. And I just love seeing vets as they sort of retire and separate and move on from service. Really to continue their service in a way that becomes a service to the public. We served our nation, of course, and by wearing the cloth and doing the deployments and everything else. Now we have an opportunity really to serve in the market and bring those skills, in a way that really benefits the consumer. And I think we've seen this, repeatedly throughout our nation's history. I mean, we've seen it all the way back to, the post-revolution era and the Civil War, where we had, veterans of the country that, hunted the buffalo and pushed westward and really were responsible for a lot of the expansion, and a lot of the, obviously in the post-World War II, we saw veterans, as they left the service and went into the factories and were responsible for really ushering in the industrial revolution that put America, at the top of the chart in the world. So I highly encourage any veterans that want to go into private business or that are seeing opportunities to definitely capitalize on that and follow through with your dreams. We have lots of funding sources. There's the veterans small business groups. There's a ton of resources on social media. And personally, that's one of the things that I do, that I specialize in with my agency, is helping veteran business owners, not just veterans in general, but veteran business owners to be able to use these same strategies in a way that actually benefits and funds their businesses. One of the businesses that we're working with currently is based out of Florida, but they have operations in multiple states. And we're helping them to get set up with a working capital fund that we can use. We can basically insure a key person within the business, and the business then can become the beneficiary of the insurance, right? Of the insurance policy. So what we're allowing them to do is take money that they would have otherwise just been spending, right? And we're actually taking the money and we're filtering it through these strategies and through these types of policies in a way that they can grow that cash value while they're continuing to expand their business operations. And ultimately what that's going to do is it's going to become an asset for the business, right? Because someday down the road, if they want to sell the business, now they're selling the business in addition to a multi-million-dollar death benefit that then is going to increase the valuation of the business, right? So now they've acquired an asset that is going to pay out, millions of dollars later. And many times, when that sale does happen, the previous business owner, the entrepreneur, is able to keep the annual revenues that they're generating, the tax-free revenues that they're generating from that policy after they've already sold the business and moved on into retirement. So a lot of really good opportunities, a lot of really good options for entrepreneurs.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm sorry, but I'm thinking the whole time, I'm like, man, I should be a client of yours, because like I literally am. I've started a business. I need funding. I'm like asking all these like real questions, because like I'm trying to pick your brain for myself. I'm just being selfish right now, but I know that other veterans can benefit from this information too. So yeah, we'll definitely have to get together offline, because my eyes are getting just big with ideas, because I do have some ideas for my business that I'm wanting to grow and share. And so I don't know, we can maybe talk about that offline, but yeah, perfect. I'm just really curious to pick your brain. We do have actually quite a few questions and some comments, so I'm going to bring a couple on the stage, and maybe we can talk about them.
Absolutely.
Right, so another podcast host, Tracer Rounds, Terry is a podcast host, and she asked, can these strategies work for people that are closer to retirement age? And then would you suggest life insurance investments over 457 or Roth accounts?
So yes, I mean, the short answer is absolutely. We actually have strategies. We work with clients that are in their 60s and 70s that oftentimes have acquired a significant nest egg in their savings, and are getting ready to retire, and ultimately want to be able to enjoy the fruits of what they've sown. And so what we can do in a lot of these cases is we can actually max fund, these types of policies in as little as 4 or 5 years. So if somebody's, let's say, in their, they're 65 years old and they want to retire at 70, we can do what we would call a strategic rollout, even from a qualified account like a Roth or a 401k or an IRA, and we can roll the money into indexed universal life over the course of 5 years. We do 5 years because it is based on kind of how the IRS allows these policies to be structured in a way that minimizes the death benefits so it doesn't become taxable. And so what they're doing essentially is they're taking post-tax dollars and they're putting them into these vehicles where then over the course of 4 or 5 years, they're able to generate a stream of revenue that is literally tax-free for the rest of their lives. And by doing so, they also create the instant estate with the death benefit that then is going to confer tax-free to their families when they go.
Wow. Well, there you go. So you might have some more people knocking at your door here, because we got a lot of comments. Another comment from Terry. Love to see veterans in business. Love to highlight them.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And let's see. We also over your contact information for businesses that I've interviewed. So yeah, like I think what's cool about the veteran business community, or just the veteran community in general, is that we really are, for the most part, we're trying to help each other out. We're all still on the same team. We all fought the good fight, and we're helping, because like I'm on all these different Facebook groups, like veteran Facebook groups, there's all kinds of different, flavors of that. But ultimately, people are trying to help like other veterans are trying to help other veterans, and that's what I really like about the MBR family. So they're always really supportive and helpful, and I think that's just indicative of the veteran community, like you mentioned earlier. But
Yeah, for sure.
right. Yeah, and I really appreciate you made a post, and I on Facebook that really kind of inspired me. I really like that post. But you don't have to really comment on it. I just wanted to highlight it that it really resonated with me. So thank you for saying that. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Mhm. All right, so we're gonna take another quick break, and let's see. I guess Joel said we have some new music. I'm a little behind, but let me see. All right, yeah, we're gonna try a new song. I'm not really sure which one this is, but we'll see what it is. I'm sure if it's on here, then it's been approved and everything. So, all right, so we're gonna listen to Andrew Robero. I hope I'm saying that right.
Looking forward to it.
Been 10 years since I'd seen his face. Not much had changed, just a different time, different place. When I shook his hand, I knew something had changed. This was a different man from the one I knew back then. That's when he said, "Where do they go?" Yes, I stand in line and watch the flag wave at pride. You see, this is what I do. Yes, I bleed red, white, and blue. He told me the tales of his journeys far away. 3 times gone and land most only see on the front page. With honor and glory, he stood so tall and fought for you and I, so we could be free from it all. That's when he said, "Where do they go?" Yes, I stand in line and watch the flag wave at pride. You see, this is what I do. Yes, I bleed red, white, and blue. Where do they go? Yes, I stand in line and watch the flag wave at pride. You see, this is what I do. Yes, I bleed. This is what I do. Yes, I bleed. Oh, this is what I do. Yes, I bleed. Red, white, and blue.
Opinions expressed in this program are those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of any entities they represent.
Find us on the web at mbradio.us.
All right, we're back, man. That was a great song. Like I was,
That was
very much impressed by that. That rocked out really. I mean, that was a great song. I'm gonna definitely put that in my rotation. I have to listen to more of this guy's stuff. That's awesome. Andrew
Yeah.
Roberoff.
Well done. Well done, Andrew. Good job.
Yes. And speaking of music, I'm gonna put you on blast a little bit, but you're a musician yourself, are you not?
I am. I've actually been a musician since I was about 10 years old. So, guitar player, and I do a little bit of singing here and there, and songwriting. Although I haven't written anything in a long time, but
Yeah.
it's a nice little hobby.
Yeah. So you want to put one of your videos on the rotation list? We'd definitely be willing to support you.
There you go, man. I'll have to get one in the mix there.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I mean, we're all about supporting veterans, and like that's a passion of yours, and I'm definitely willing to put you on blast and get you a record deal that you've been dreaming of.
Realizing the childhood dreams, right?
There you go. Sometimes it takes a little windy path, but
that's right.
All right. Well, let's see what we were. I guess I'm going through some of my questions that I had planned. Okay, so this is a little bit of an interest of mine lately, as many people have. But artificial intelligence. I wanted to kind of pick your brain a little bit and see what your thoughts are, like in the general sense, like with the financial industry. Do you see artificial intelligence being a good thing, bad thing, kind of neutral, or what is your expectations or your perception of it right now?
Well, I would say that, just from my perspective now, I mean, AI, whether we like it or not, it's here, and I think it's here to stay. And I think it is pretty much, made its way into almost every industry at this point. And I think it's a good thing. I think as long as we, we continue to, to harness it in ways that, are beneficial, of course. I mean,
right.
I think from the standpoint of, the financial industry, one of the areas where I feel like, AI has been very beneficial with this, with the strategies that we use, like with my agency, has been kind of in the educational space. Because it allows us to really amplify that message and to very quickly replicate it, and so that we can get it out there and in a way that is very controlled, and we obviously want to make sure we maintain our checks and balances on the technology itself, but it allows us to educate a larger audience, because obviously we can't be everywhere. The people that that sort of work in the same industries and do sort of the same things that I do, we obviously, there's only so many of us, and we're swimming upstream. I mean, that's the reality. A lot of these strategies, we run into interference because, let's face it, the banks, I mean, they don't necessarily want people putting, all their money in life insurance, because they make tons of money off of the investments, right? So we're working against, that resistance. In many ways, the IRS, the government doesn't want, too much money going into these policies, because they kind of like to be able to tax it, right? So as we're kind of playing chess with the IRS on these policies, the government ultimately in the public education system is going to have, 90% of the narrative. So, when they're teaching young kids coming out of high school and even college about, hey, where should you put your money when you get into the workforce? They're telling them things like 401ks, IRAs, traditional retirement accounts, all the areas where the money is pretty much 100% taxable, and it's in the market, So we have that to contend with right out of the gate. And so to be able to get this message out and to be able to propagate these strategies and kind of teach people from the ground up, and to sort of retool their thinking on how they manage money, and being able to, help them understand that by using these type of strategies, they can become their own banker. And that was sort of the theme of Nelson Nash's book. It was the infinite banking strategy, becoming your own banker. So you're basically using the exact same strategies that millionaires and billionaires have been using for almost 200 years, and that banks are continuing to use. And they're continuing to use it to the tune of billions of dollars. But now we have found a way to bring that same type of strategy down to veterans and their families and veteran business owners, and just people that are kind of in the working classes, so that they can harness the same power that, you know, banks and large institutions have been using. But in order to do that, of course, we have to be able to get the message out. And so I think that AI has really helped us to be able to get that message a lot wider now, and it's bringing it more to the to the average household.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good. I like that. I like that that perspective. You know, you're using it for good. You know, you're because we're training these AIs for better or worse. We are training them, and I have of the mindset of like we should be training them for good instead of for evil. But you know, there's always going to be that push and pull where there's always going to be the bad actors. You know, but I'm hoping to train the AI for good. You know,
I gotta say, man, I'm still of the mindset that we should, Apple and Google and all these others, man, they could have really done us a service if they made it to where, Siri and Alexa only worked if you said please and thank you.
Yeah, that is definitely sorely missed for sure.
Yeah.
Or lacking. Oh man. Oh well, let's see. So let's see. I've got a couple random questions, but I guess we'll keep the rest towards the end. But like in the next segment, we're going to talk about like your longer term plans.
Sure.
Like in the next 5-10 years, like your goals and aspirations for the business and your vision for where you want to go. Let's see, looks like we got a comment. Yes, ma'am, and no, ma'am, too. Yes, there you go.
What a
concept! What a concept!
Agreed.
Yeah, and then MJ, another podcast host, I guess she was referencing kind of like family banking. Is that kind of how you see it as infinite
Sure.
banking? Okay.
Yep, and we can structure these type of policies and strategies to include the entire family unit, multi-generational, parents, children, grandchildren. That was a very, very similar strategy to, in fact, what the Rockefeller family did, where they basically had what they would consider a family bank. And every person in the family was insured. At the time, it was using whole life insurance because we didn't have index universal life back then. But every member of the family was insured, and so they would take loans essentially from the family bank, and the owners of those, the policies, the trust essentially that owned the policies, they would have to get together and decide what was a worthwhile cause for the kids and the grandkids as they came up to be able to take these loans. And so it gave them a lot more control and a lot more opportunity to teach their kids about how money works and how best to use their money. And I think that that's something too that unfortunately, even as I was being raised, I mean, we didn't have too many hard lessons on money, and other than just kind of the standard stuff that you teach your kids. But this is really getting into the real inner workings of how money actually works and how we actually grow wealth, and frankly how people become rich. This is sort of the blueprint.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I really like the family-oriented nature of that, because like I've been trying to advocate for normalizing just talking about money. Like in society, we just don't do it with our friends or family, or like we just don't talk about money. And I'm really just trying to dispel that stigma and change that narrative a little bit. But and I appreciate these kinds of conversations. Like hopefully somebody will take a nugget, and if they're listening or they're watching later on, maybe they'll be like, oh, okay, this is a cool concept. I'll talk to my family about this. And that's what I plan to do. I plan to talk to my family, my dad, and be like, look, we need to come together as a team, and really, like, instead of having our own little pockets of money, and like, it's a personal finance. I get that, but I like that you're really kind of encouraging more of a sense of family and connectedness and unity, within the family unit. So that really resonates with me.
Yeah. And my kids, yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, I'll transition to another topic real quick, but go ahead and finish your thought. You with your kids.
Oh no, I was just going to say my kids have policies set up themselves, and that's that becomes a regular topic of conversation. When we start to coach them at a very early age on how to how to manage these type of things, and how to really think about money in a way that the people that are sort of leading the economic sectors are thinking about money, because at the end of the day, that's what financial independence and financial freedom are really all about. So,
yeah, absolutely. So we're going to take another quick break, but I want, before we go, I wanted to set you up for a question or a series of questions. I wanted to kind of talk a little bit about financial literacy, and maybe some good some good resources that you could recommend. So kind of, maybe some of your greatest hits of books and podcasts and things like that you like to listen to. So I'll put you on the spot later, but for now we're going to try to do another song, and this is going to be another new one. So this is Chemistry Club, Blended Colors. So we'll see how this one goes. Hopefully it's as good as the last one.
All right.
Down Lincoln again, droplets form against the windows, early morning light and shadows bend to colors, reaching for the lenses in my eyes which take them, turn them upside down, and though I do not know quite how, they will be turned right back around and spit back out. Conduits and cabling which disassemble them, processing from noise and light still springs in static motion and information. I suddenly see that the reason is everywhere around us. It's everywhere around us. Bus stop standing on the corner, passengers are waiting, and I sit in silence, half asleep, and I wonder what they each are thinking. Woman with off-white woolen cap, the young man staring at the sidewalk where the tip of her umbrella touches to the ground. And the distance between strangers can sometimes be quite alarming, but today the bus comes to carry us together into the morning. I suddenly see that the reason is everywhere around us. It's everywhere around us. And I suddenly see that the reason is everywhere around us. It's everywhere around us. Walking down Lincoln again, droplets form against the windows, early morning light and shadows bend to colors, reaching for the lenses in my eyes which take them, turn them upside down, and though I do not know quite how, they will be turned right back around and spit back out. Conduits and cabling which disassemble them, processing from noise and light still frames in static motion and information. Suddenly see that the reason is everywhere around us. It's everywhere around
opinions expressed in this program are those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of any entities they represent.
Find us on the web at mbradio.us.
All right, we are back. That was another banger of a song. Had a little bit of a block party vibe. For those of you who know that band. And then also a special guest cameo from our one and only Joel Hunt. He was acting in that, and I guess he was a producer of that. So that's really cool.
Awesome.
Our head honcho, Joel. He's just a big teddy bear that just he's got the heart of a lion. So he's a really great guy. Actually, wait, he's in the background. That's H right there. All right. So before we get into your suggestions for financial literacy, we do have a comment.
Sure.
So on a serious note, can a 501c3 leverage financial wealth with life insurance investments?
Yes. So in the case of nonprofits, it's they're completely unlinked to the actual performance of the market itself. So yes, 100%. I mean, if we have funds that we can, that again is in the form of working capital, if it's funds that we want to be able to save from from any other income that the business owners have, they can certainly benefit tremendously from these type of strategies. And we can roll the gains from these cash values and from the dividend yields back into the 501s, so that they can just continue to grow their operations as well.
Okay. Well, I hope you're taking notes, Terry, because we're probably going to have some follow-on discussions after this. All right. So, okay. Thank you for answering that question and these answering all these questions. That's really kind of putting you on the spot, but you're shooting them down.
I love it, man. I love it.
Yeah. All right. So, just a quick lightning round of some of your best financial literacy or just financial, nuggets, books, podcasts, anything like that. What is your usual like top 3 go to?
Sure. Yeah. No, I would say, right off the top of my head, I think that the Infinite Banking Concept book by Nelson Nash is kind of a must read for anyone that's interested in getting into this business. It was actually where I started. In fact, God love them, the agency that I first started my first whole life policy with, they insisted, in fact, that I read the Infinite Banking Concept by Nelson Nash before we even got started with this. I tend to not take as hard of a line with my clients, but I'm glad that they did, So that would be number one. I really am a fond fan, I guess, an avid fan of Doug Andrew and the Three-Dimensional Wealth agency that he started many, many years ago. Doug's been in the industry for over 5 decades, has pretty much written the book on how to maximize the benefits of Index Universal Life. But at the same time, I realize that there is there can be a great deal of feud on sources like YouTube, between the two different schools of thought, whole life versus Index Universal Life. I like them all, man. I mean, I subscribe to Chris Nagel's channel, The Money Multiplier. I subscribe to Chris Kirkpatrick's channel, Life 180. These are guys that, have sort of made their brand out of, leveraging whole life policies, which, hey, they both have their advantages, in my opinion. I tend to, favor the Indexed Universal Life, but that's just because, I use it for certain applications and I'm not opposed to using others. Books, I mean, like I said, Infinite Banking. I love the Confessions of a CPA series. Those are awesome. The Doug Andrew book, IUL Insiders, that's his organization that he's sort of crafted. There's a lot of really, really great resources out there.
Yeah, we're gonna have to put all that into the show notes and make sure people can find all that on the back end, because that's some really good resources there. And I'm definitely going to be going down the rabbit hole. I'm really bad about finding something and just like really latching onto it, and then something new that I'm like, okay, I want to learn about this, and I really go into it. Um, so yeah, I'm definitely going to be reading those, watching podcasts, and listening and stuff. So yeah, so that's
Yeah,
cool.
and I do stand corrected. The book was called The Laser Fund. I misspoke there. Doug Andrews' book is called The Laser Fund. Very, very informative. And like I said, he pretty much wrote the book on how we can optimize indexed universal life to really see some market like gains, to get the upside potentials with the downside protections, and the safety, security, and liquidity of index universal life policies.
All right. Well, let's see. That's not the end of the show, but we're getting towards the end. So I wanted to give you a chance. I wanted to kind of pick your brain about like what is your future plans going to look like? Maybe aspirations, visions, just dreams. Like what are you working towards?
Yeah, no, absolutely. One of the biggest goals and plans, really. I mean, these are things that are actually in the works. They're not just dreams and visions at this point. We plan to expand our services, and ultimately partner with other agencies and larger financial firms. We've got several deals in the works right now. That will be expanding a number of our services. We do offer, as components of the agency right now, we do offer some lending services, commercial lending services, so we can get business loans. We can help, new entrepreneurs or business owners that currently have businesses that they want to expand operations, or, maybe acquire new equipment or new technologies or hire. We have SBA options. We've got private equity options, but we're going to be expanding that a lot. And my goal really is to become sort of the one-stop shop for all things, veteran entrepreneur, or vetrepreneur, as we might call it, right? We know that wealthy people, again, have been doing this for many, many years, right? I mean, we don't often walk into the local bank to, deposit a check and see multimillionaires standing beside us, right? They don't go to the bank, right? Because they have their own, private banking services, and they have people that sort of cater to them that bring all of these services and consolidate them. Well, there's really no reason why it should only be exclusive to millionaires and billionaires. This sort of stuff is here, it's available, and we're bringing it to the working class and to the veteran class, especially, and first responders, people that I feel like, societally, we kind of owe a debt of gratitude to. And even as a veteran myself, I mean, like you said, we take care of our own, and we want to continue to serve our own people, because we understand and we recognize their sacrifices, and we understand and we know, we're familiar with the lifestyle, so we can communicate easier. So if we bring services like, lending or mortgage services, even credit card services, all these other things that the banking industry has kind of had sort of a monopoly on up to this point, we want to try and bundle all that together. And when veterans are starting businesses, I want to be, I want Victory X Financial to be, the agency that gets them set up with their initial startup loans, that gets them set up with their, key man insurance policies to grow their working capital, that gets them set up with their property and casualty insurance, because that's another component. And ultimately, is a we're gonna be there with a lifetime partnership with our clients to help them to ultimately get all the way to retirement and be able to enjoy their money, and then let their families continue to enjoy it even after they're gone. So.
Yeah, because I mean, ultimately, we're talking about generational wealth. This is like the whole family, concept, which is something that, like I said, resonates with me. So yeah, I mean, it's to me, it's not wealth is, and I mean, this gets into the philosophical, but what is wealth? What is, like, it's not about being ultra rich or anything like that. Like for me, I'm thinking about it as, yeah, like you said, taking care of your family, making sure that there is a legacy of yours behind, and then, you know, if you do have enough money left over, then you can be charitable with your money. And that's something that really resonates with me too, is that, like, you know, if I was a billionaire or whatever, you know, I would be funding every single nonprofit that I could get my hands on, you know, just because I know how difficult it is as a nonprofit, you know, and
Absolutely.
as a starting business owner, yeah, financial independence is really the goal. But, you know, everyone's reasoning is different for financial independence. So that's just something that, you know, I've been thinking about a lot lately, just, you know, with this rat race. But like, it's really, you know, it's really about, you know, taking care of each other and taking care of your family. You know, that's what resonates with me.
Absolutely. And I love what you touched on there about charitable giving as well. You know, that's another, you know, another personal area for me as well. I've basically taken a business stance that, you know, 10% of our profits with Victory X Financial will go to benefit the Ronald McDonald House and Charities. I think they're a great organization. They've helped my family tremendously, and those that kind of know the inside story on that know why that is. But yeah, I truly do believe in giving back to the community because I think it really makes a big difference, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. Man, like the time it just zoomed by, but we're gonna
Man, we
have to
killed
have
an
you on
hour real
again.
quick.
Yeah. That was we had great engagement. A lot of people were commenting and throwing out the suggestions and questions. So that was really awesome. You know, like I said, we're gonna have to either have you on again or just, well, no, yeah, we'll just have to have you on again. Keep coming on.
Love to be back.
Yeah, and get some of your music on here, and then we'll just keep pushing forward and keep fighting the good fight together.
You know it.
All right, well, Dan, I really appreciate it. This is going to be the end of the stream. Trace Around says thank you for the great advice,
Thank
and
you.
yeah, and then we'll catch up later and catch you guys on the next stream.
All right. Thanks again, Joey. Really appreciate it and had a great time being on here.
Thanks, Dan. I appreciate it.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in to Military Broadcast Radio. As we wrap up today's show, we want to remind you that the podcast of today's episode will be available right after we go off the air. So if you missed any part of the show or want to listen again, be sure to check it out. And remember, we're here to support and honor our veterans. Your stories and experiences matter, and we are committed to giving you a platform to share them. That's right. We're here to give our veterans a voice. So don't forget to catch the podcast and stay connected with us. Giving our veterans a voice.